Continuing from the previous episode 1165. As the auction just ended, the powerhouses from all sides were eager to move, but the mysterious man who took the undead leaves did not leave, but chose to live in the Ghost King City. This action of the mysterious man undoubtedly made some powerhouses in the center of the entire Ghost King City feel helpless. However, the place where the mysterious man lives has been secretly watched by many people from the forces. It will notify the forces behind it as soon as possible. How long is it? Xiao Yan asked his entourage in the dark passage, because 10 minutes had passed since he entered the dark passage, and there was still no end to it. Xiao Yan couldn't help asking. This secret path is dark, but fortunately, Xiao Yan and his entourage are not low in strength, so naturally they found the route with ease. Sir, the exit is in front. The attendant was so snorted by Xiao Yan that he couldn't help breaking out in cold sweat, and his fingers couldn't help pointing to the exit ahead. The guy in front of him is a third-grade Emperor Alchemist. If he is slightly wrong, I am afraid that the City Lord will not skin him. Thank you. Xiao Yan heard the words, followed the entourage's finger, and suddenly saw a secret door, and immediately jumped, without any hesitation, suddenly left here. What a terrifying guy. Forget it, since the matter is over, it's time for me to return to my life. The follower said to himself, and he returned to the same path after speaking, but he didn't pay attention. In the secret passage, a ghostly figure was following Xiao Yan. It seems that Deathwind didn't lie to me. With this secret passage, it saved me a lot of time. Not far away, there are two strong men who are not weak, and they are rushing here, and their breath is quite similar to the young head of the Hammer mercenary group. There is a pine forest in front, just right. After Xiao Yan finished speaking, his eyes turned to the pine forest in front of him. The core inscription of the divine movement in his body kept turning, and circles of inscriptions emerged, trying to ambush. This pine forest is the only way to leave the Ghost King City and go to the base camp of their Hammer mercenary group. Outside the Ghost King City, there are many powerful forces. Among them, the mercenary group Hammer is the main force, and the second is the Mad Demon group composed of some desperados. There are two quite tyrannical forces in total. Is the only way to go to the Hammer mercenary group. The headquarters of the Hammer mercenary group was originally in the Ghost King City, but its leader once angered the city owner because of some petty profits, so he was implicated out of the city. It naturally fell outside the city. In these years, the city lord did not send a few strong men to encircle and suppress it, but in the end, he was lucky enough to escape. Young regiment commander, there is a red pine forest in front, and after passing through the red pine forest, we arrive at our base camp. Not far away, the two figures moved quickly and said, "Yep, be careful. Our top priority is to bring this seal fighting technique back, and I also know who the undead leaves will end up with. As long as the information is passed back to our mercenary group, I believe my father will make his own decision." A rather dashing man said, looking at the red pine forest in front of him. This man is the young head of the Hammer mercenary group today. His name is Yang Fei. Guardian Hua, this trip has been hard work. If you can go back, I will not let my father treat you badly. Yang Fei said with a smile. Master, why are you in such a hurry to go back? Could it be? The rather elderly Hua guard couldn't help but asked. Hua guard, I always feel that the third-rank alchemist of the imperial rank seems to have a soft spot for this seal fighting technique, so we naturally have to hurry. At such an age, he is a third-grade alchemist of the emperor rank. I am afraid that behind him, on Yang Fei's face, there was a trace of maturity that did not match his age. Young regiment said yes. Let's go. After the two of them finished speaking, they were on their way forward, directly into the red pine forest. Strange, there seems to be something wrong with this red pine forest. Just after entering the red pine forest, the guard Nahua couldn't help but say, because the red pine forest in the past has always been quite quiet, but at this moment, it is here. A rather hot breath emerged. Hua Huawei is the bodyguard arranged by his father. Although this guy's strength is only in the middle stage of 1-star fighting immortal, but his midterm strength has repeatedly wiped out some of the late 1-star fighting immortal powerhouses. It can be said that it is Yang Fei. This right-hand man. Guardian Hua, what's wrong? Yang Fei asked with a hint of doubt flashing in his pupils when he heard the words. Master, be careful. The next moment, in the red pine forest, behind an extremely huge pine tree, a layer of doomsday afterglow was rendered, which was extremely terrifying. As soon as Hua Guard's voice fell, his figure exploded and shot directly at Yang Fei. The terrifying impact instantly moved his position away. Boom, boom, boom. At the same time, behind the huge pine tree, a khaki flame dragon shadow about 10 feet in size quietly passed through the position where Yang Fei was standing, and then fluttered. The dozens of red pine trees behind it were instantly annihilated in the khaki-yellow energy dragon without making any sound. Who? Get out of here. And the guard is also a strong man who walks on the tip of the knife all the year round naturally. He is not afraid of such a scene, but he knows that the two of them, since entering the red pine forest, it seems to be caught in the enemy's formation. I have long heard that the Hammer Mercenary Regiment Hua Guard is very strong. When I saw it today, it really lives up to its reputation. Xiao Yan wore a black robe, stepped out slightly, and said to the two people below, but the strangeness that permeated his body. If it weren't for the power of the soul being stronger than himself, he would not be able to decipher his true identity no matter what. That mysterious person in private room number 1? Feeling this scene, the two below said in unison. Sure enough, Xiao Yan's huge soul power instantly saw through the two's thoughts, and smiled randomly in his heart. He deliberately used the power of Ghost Face and Soul Flame to change his aura, wearing a black robe and wrapping his soul power. He naturally resembled the mysterious person in the private room number 1 in the auction. I don't know why the Lord came here, why? Hua Guard put Yang Fei behind him and said slowly, his voice full of vigilance. He knew that the strength of the mysterious person in the private room number 1, not to mention himself, even the head of their Hammer Mercenary group, I'm afraid he can't beat him, so he can only say politely. I'm quite interested in that seal fighting skill. Xiao Yan said no nonsense, and said directly, after all, now that his aura has changed, and he is wearing a black robe, ordinary people can't recognize him. This bastard! When Yang Fei heard the words, he scolded secretly, and the thing he was most worried about still happened. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 1166. If I expected it well. You are definitely not the mysterious person in that private room. The next moment, Hua Guard stared at the black-robed man floating in the air and said, his voice full of confidence. Why do you see it? Xiao Yan was shocked when he heard the words, and immediately said. Could it be that your figure was discovered by this guy? Shouldn't it be? This Hua Guard is not strong, and his soul power is quite weak. How can he see through his identity? I have felt the breath of a mysterious person in private room number 1. His soul power is not so powerful, and the power of your soul is so tyrannical, it symbolizes that you are a high-level pharmacist. Just in the auction, there is a pharmacist who is also relieved of his soul power. Hua Guard said earnestly, You're the alchemist of the third-rank emperor. Yang Fei was surprised when he heard the words. Since you already know, then, die. After Xiao Yan finished speaking, the 300 Zhang flame dragons suddenly appeared behind him and roared away directly at the two of them. The dragon carried a khaki-yellow flame, like the afterglow of the apocalypse, rendering the entire Korean pine forest. No, this is a formation. Young regiment commander, let's go! The next moment, Hua Guard shouted loudly, and directly used all his strength to try to block Xiao Yan away. Hua Guard knows the power of the formation, but his current strength in the middle stage of the one-star fighting immortal, if he wants to break the formation and escape with Yang Fei, it will be a fool's dream. Guardian Hua, this. There was a dignified expression on Yang Fei's face. Obviously the pressure Xiao Yan put on the two of them was unusual. Since you can't run, let's fight. It happens to be in the formation at this time, if this guy can be obliterated. The immortal spirit pill and the earth dragon blood crystal on his body belong to us. After struggling for a while, he found that the formation could not be cracked. Immediately, Guard Hua changed his cowardice and said directly to Xiao Yan. Have you changed your mind? The corner of Xiao Yan's mouth hidden under the black robe moved slightly. Boy, if there is a way to heaven, you don't go, but if there is no door to hell, you break in. Suffer to death. After Hua Guard finished speaking, he suddenly tore the robe covering his body in an instant, revealing a rather strange scene. This is. But Xiao Yan looked at Hua Guard like this, and couldn't help but congeal. Obviously, although this guy's strength is only in the middle stage of 2-star Do Xian, there is no doubt that this is the first time he has encountered such a difficult situation. Guy. Thunder explosion. The next moment, Hua Guard burst out, and then above his body, fist-sized silver thunders slowly covered his body. ZZ. The silver thunder slowly flowed and covered Guard's body, and suddenly a terrifying power of thunder that made the scalp numb, slowly burst out. What a thunder-type fighting immortal power! And the tyranny of this body alone is probably enough to compare to some late-stage one-star fighting immortal powerhouses. Xiao Yan's eyes were vicious, and he could see the clue at a glance. Boy, die! After you die, we will enjoy your things well. Ha ha ha. After Guard finished speaking, the figure suddenly moved like a ghost, and moved quickly, leaving a circle of afterimages wherever the figure passed along the way. Boom boom boom! Guard came to Xiao Yan, and immediately slammed his palm out, hitting Xiao Yan Tian Ling Gai suddenly. Looking at the appearance, he wanted to use thunder to obliterate Xiao Yan. It's good to come. Seeing this, Xiao Yan suddenly smiled, and then a trace of khaki flames also emanated from his palm, and then he waved it directly, and then intertwined heavily with Guard's palm. Boom boom boom! The palms of the two met, and suddenly an explosion sounded slowly behind the two of them. Good boy, it's interesting. Shabu shabu. The next moment, the palms of the two of them were directly put away at the same time, and then they both stepped back dozens of steps, and then Guard said with a venom in his eyes. This guy, what a tyrannical power of thunder. Xiao Yan took a few dozen steps back to stabilize his figure, and couldn't help muttering. Just now, he used the power of the holy flame of Huoxin Tianyan to directly confront Guard, but he did not gain an overwhelming advantage as usual. On the contrary, he was continuously eroded by Guard's thunder power. With the power of flame, Xiao Yan finally had no choice but to attack separately. It can be said that in the fight just now, Xiao Yan was at a disadvantage. Fire! Xiao Yan naturally didn't believe in this evil. Since the power of one holy flame is not enough, then the second one, he would like to see how this guy's thunder power can resist the power of holy flame several times. Hui's body also fluctuated violently. Although his attack just now gained the upper hand, only he knew that the khaki flames that had just disappeared without his own power of thunder appeared in his body, causing him to overturn the river and the sea in his body. Quite painful. Thunder Tiger! But seeing Xiao Yan's attack coming, Guard didn't dare to hesitate. Directly pressing down on the severe pain emanating from his body, he let out a loud cry. Ho 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 ho! As the voice of Guard just fell, a silver fighting immortal power emerged directly from his body, and in front of him, a thundering giant tiger about 100 feet in size slowly formed. The thunder giant tiger was covered in silver, and the outermost circle was actually surrounded by the power of thunder, and the silver hair all over his body exuded tyrannical power. Then take a look. It's your thunder tiger that is powerful, or my flame dragon. After Xiao Yan finished speaking, his soul power suddenly emerged from his body, and then he controlled the flame dragon formed by the fusion of blue-yellow flames and attacked Guard. And go! What a powerful attack! Guardian Hua. When Yang Fei saw this, he couldn't help but muttered after muttering. He looked at Guard Hua. At this time, Guard still had a smile on his face, but that smile was full of extremely terrifying fluctuations. Holy flame! The next moment, as the blue-yellow flame giant easily pierced through the body of the thunder giant tiger, all of them were the body of Guard, and it also became illusory. Obviously, the thunder giant tiger had a close relationship with him. Guard! But seeing this moment, Yang Fei couldn't help shouting loudly, his voice full of anger. It's over. Xiao Yan couldn't control it either. He directly controlled the blue-yellow flame dragon, and instantly immersed Guard's body into it. I didn't expect to see Schengen in my lifetime. But the head of the regiment has kindness to me. This kindness must be repaid. Let's go! Seeing his body becoming more and more illusory, Guard said slightly, and after speaking, it turned into a storm of energy, which was completely ignited in the formation. Guard, don't! Yang Fei said with a tear in his pupils, because when Guard exploded, he used his strength to send himself out of the formation. Want to explode? Seeing this, Xiao Yan couldn't help but let out a loud cry, but before he had time to act, the overwhelming power of thunder suddenly exploded in his formation. It's really unfortunate. Xiao Yan frowned as he looked at Yang Fei, who was gradually moving away. Obviously, Xiao Yan did not dare to underestimate the self-destruction of a mid-stage one-star fighting immortal. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 1167. Boom, boom, boom. A dazzling storm of destruction resounded in Xiao Yan's formation. It seems that this seal fighting skill has to wait for the next time. Xiao Yan looked at Yang Fei, who was far away, and immediately shook his head. Because of Yang Fei's figure, he had already escaped from his formation, and it was far away from the Hammer mercenary group. The base camp is quite close. Such a terrifying battle in Yu Bo. If it attracts the strong in its group, I am afraid it will be quite difficult. After all, the Hammer mercenary group has a 2-star Do Xian powerhouse in charge. The 2-star Do Xian powerhouse is undoubtedly too difficult for the current Xiao Yan to deal with. Boom, boom, boom. After a while, Xiao Yan directly dealt with all the self-exploding energy, and then there was a hint of helplessness in his eyes. After doing all this, he left to face the Ghost King city. As for the reason why Hua Guard, who was as powerful as a star in the middle stage of Do Xian, fell so easily, firstly, it was because he had rashly absorbed the power of his own holy flame. It was also that Thunder Tiger might be its source power. The combination of the two naturally fell into Xiao Yan's hands. This guy, it is a rare seedling to retreat in spite of difficulties. But I still underestimate Hua Guard's strength, otherwise Yang Fei wouldn't be let go. Bai He on the side said, and then he went to the Ghost King city. He, this old guy is gone. Seeing Bai He appearing and talking to himself, and then returning back, Xiao Yan couldn't help but stop and said with a smile. What happened just now was naturally done for Bai He to see. The seal fighting skill can directly enhance his strength. Xiao Yan would not easily let go of such a treasure. Let's go to the Hammer mercenary group's base camp first. Cover it with the power of the soul, and add the ghostly aura generated by the ghost face and soul flame to cover up. Even if you can't beat it, you can still escape. However, it always feels as if a strong man is heading towards the Hammer mercenary group. Is it an illusion? Xiao Yan looked up at the distant sky, shook his head and said, after speaking, he was enveloped by a layer of black energy and soul power at the same time. Go to the base camp of the Hammer mercenary group. In the Ghost City, City Lord, Yu family Yugan seems to have disappeared. In the city owner's mansion, a strong man in charge of monitoring the Yu family couldn't help but say. Looks like they're ready to start. What is their first goal? Dead Wind asked. Yugan seems to be heading towards the Hammer mercenary group outside the city. The strong man said, Hammer mercenary group. Okay, I know, let's go. Dead Wind said, yes. The strong man heard the words and disappeared into the mansion. Yugan, you still can't help but do it. Since you want to use the Hammer mercenary group to make a knife, then you can do whatever you want. But you probably didn't think that the final winner would only be me. After Death Feng finished speaking, he slowly laughed. Outside the Ghost King city, a figure stood slightly in the sky, dressed in a cyan robe. Behind the robe, a silver Yu family was lifelike, with the sound of rushing wind, heading towards the Hammer mercenary group's base camp. You gone? Xiao Yan hid in the dark, with the help of the ghostly energy generated by the ghost face and soul flame, and the power of the soul. He perfectly concealed himself, but when he saw the figure in the sky, his pupils couldn't help shrinking tightly. At this time, there was only one person in the sky, but Xiao Yan was quite surprised by this person's faint aura. Pseudo 3-star fighting immortals. At this time, the Master of Soul Eater spoke lightly, with a hint of worry in his voice. This ghost world is really terrifying. Just a small Ghost King city, its overall strength is much more tyrannical than Zan Santian. Seeing this, Xiao Yan couldn't help but have a wry smile on the corner of his mouth. You must know that the powerhouses of Xuanxin Tian are only killed by the Do Emperor Peak Flame 1-star Do Immortal Strong, but in the Ghost King city, the 1-star Do Immortal Strong has become a cabbage that can be seen everywhere. This kind of gap makes Xiao Yan was quite helpless. Humph. I told you a long time ago that the entire Daqin world is very big, and there are too many continents that are more tyrannical than Xuanxin. So this kind of thing is naturally common. And if you have the opportunity to go to the center of the ghost world or the center of your human world, then you will understand what an ant is. It's a little bit, it's too far. The Soul Eater said, the figure just now should be Yu Gan, the head of the Yu family. Judging from this appearance, it should be going to the Hammer mercenary group base camp. There's a good show to watch now, keep up and try if you can fish in troubled waters. Xiao Yan smiled, deliberately suppressing his breath at will, and slowly followed. With the dual protection of soul power and holy flame power of Ghostface Soul Flame, Xiao Yan is not worried that he will be discovered. This kid actually dares to plot against a 3-star fighting immortal powerhouse. Don't you know that a 3-star fighting immortal powerhouse can be wiped out with a slap? But this character, I like it. After Soul Eater finished speaking, he also laughed. As Yu Qian and Xiao Yan headed towards the base camp of the Hammer Mercenary Group one after the other, Yang Fei had already reached the base camp. "Young Regiment Commander, are you back?" Yang Fei just came to the foot of the mountain, and the soldier in charge of patrol immediately smiled at him. "Yep, is father here?" Although Yang Fei was extremely angry, he didn't show it, and just asked. "The head of the regiment and several leaders are in the regiment." The soldier in charge of patrol responded. After Yang Fei finished speaking, he walked towards the top of the mountain. The base camp of the Hammer Mercenary Group has occupied a small mountain range, that is, it occupies the entire top of the mountain. The top of the mountain is undulating and easy to defend and difficult to attack. It is a rare treasure, and the base camp of the Hammer Mercenary Group is impressively on the top of the mountain. "Young Commander." After a while, Yang Fei came directly to the top of the mountain, and immediately came to a rather huge tent. "Father, several uncles." "No." Something happened Yang Fei couldn't help but say when he saw the people in front of him. "Fair, what's the matter?" The head of the Hammer Mercenary Group couldn't help asking with concern when he saw his son's appearance. "Let's go to the auction." Yang Fei stabilized his emotions, and then explained everything one by one. "What? Undead leaves? Emperor rank 3rd grade pharmacist? Guard has fallen?" After Yang Fei finished speaking, the head of the Hammer Mercenary Group and several powerful leaders in the group couldn't help roaring. "He provoked an Emperor rank 3rd grade pharmacist. I am afraid that their Hammer Mercenary Group will not have a good life. Moreover, although the immortal leaves are precious, there are still 3 Lei Yuqing families who are eyeing them, so I am afraid it will not be their turn. Furthermore, even Guard has fallen. The strength of Guard is obvious to all, and he is a rare man in the Hammer Mercenary Group. Father, how can this be good?" Yang Fei couldn't help asking. It seems that Ghost King City has been quiet for too long, and it's time to change the dynasty. The head of the Hammer Mercenary Regiment shook his head slightly at this time. "Father? Head of the regiment?" Everyone in the tent couldn't help asking, wondering what this meant. "Hammer Mercenary Group, I've really looked up to it for a long time." Without waiting for everyone to react, a voice with a monstrous atmosphere suddenly resounded through the sky in the tent. End of this chapter. Continuing from the previous episode 1168. "You gone?" Hearing this amazing voice, several strong men in the tent all became vigilant. Yugon's prestige and strength, as early as 10 years ago, when he was promoted to the 3-star fighting immortal, his prestige spread far and wide in the entire Ghost King City. Although it is rumored that there is a hidden disease in his body that limits his strength, it is also a genuine 3-star fighting immortal, and their Hammer Mercenary Group, the strongest, is only a 2-star fighting immortal. The gap between them can be described as a world of difference. It is no wonder that after hearing the name of Yugon, the top of the Hammer Mercenary Group are all shocked. "Head of the regiment, how can this be done?" But the voices from outside the tent were stunned, and several high-level officials of the Hammer Mercenary Group couldn't help but worry, and there was some fear in their words. Now with the end of the auction, the Ghost King City is already in turmoil. This feather came here. I don't know why. If you want to eat our entire Hammer Mercenary Group alone, you won't be able to support him. The head of the Hammer Mercenary Group said to himself, and then he opened the tent and went outside. "Everyone of the Hammer Mercenary Group, I haven't seen you for a long time, and you are still so energetic." Yugon, dressed in a long robe, stood above the void in the tent and smiled at everyone. "Ha ha ha, who am I? It turns out to be the head of the Yu family." The head of the Hammer Mercenary Regiment laughed directly. The head of the Hammer Mercenary Group, named Yang Fan, is a genuine 2-star Do Xian early-stage powerhouse, and the overall strength of the Hammer Mercenary Group is the possession of this 2-star Do Xian, which has established their status, even if it is at the beginning. Yang Fan angered the city lord Feng Feng, and he was not obliterated. This is the invisible damage of the 2-star fighting immortal powerhouse. "Yang Fan, I'm here this time just to borrow something from you." "I don't know if it's feasible." Yugon was still standing in the sky, as if he didn't have anything to do with the one-star Do Xian perfection-level powerhouses beside Yang Fan. Feared, he just spoke lightly. What? There was a rare murderous intent hidden under Yang Fan's smiling face. Hammer Mercenary Group. Yu Gan smiled slowly, but that smile was as terrifying as a demon. Not good. Fair, hurry up. The next moment, as Yu Gan's voice just fell, a strange force slowly emerged around him, directly wrapping Yang Fei and sending him away from here. What a terrifying power of fighting immortals. Several strong men around Yang Fan couldn't help roaring. Let's go quickly, or it's too late. Yang Fan was worthy of being the head of the regiment. At this time, he showed his commanding strength in the face of danger. Yang Fan knew that since Yu Gan dared to do this, he must have used his resources. Moreover, with his 3-star fighting immortal level strength, I am afraid that in the Ghost King City, it is difficult to find an opponent. The Hammer Mercenary Corps is just my stepping stone. Don't worry, after you die, the Madman and Lei Jiaqing's City Lord's mansion will go down to accompany you. Ha ha ha. Yu Gan laughed loudly. Go! The next moment, as Yu Gan's figure fell, an irresistible force suddenly radiated from his body, and in an instant, it turned into an energy barrier, covering the entire mountain range. This Yu Gan has such terrifying strength. And Xiao Yan, who was hiding in the dark, frowned at this moment, as if he was facing a great enemy. Yu Gan's strength is true in the early stage of the 3-star fighting immortal. Even if he has the strength of a dark disease in his body, the pressure on Xiao Yan at this moment is not trivial. According to Xiao Yan's guess, I am afraid that he will desperately use the fusion of the 3 holy flames. It may not be able to kill Yu Gan smoothly. The 3-star fighting immortal powerhouse is so terrifying. Okay, look at this. Yang Fan knows that he can't escape. Of course he wants to use his self-destruction to win a little bit of life for the brothers in the regiment. But the 2-star fighting immortals are like ants in front of the 3-star fighting immortals. These are all useless efforts. The Soul Eater in Xiao Yan said. Yes. Xiao Yan agreed softly. Yang Fan just sent his son away secretly. Let's do business. Since they want to fight, let them fight. Soul Eater said with a smile. Let's go. Xiao Yan heard the words, nodded lightly, and then tried his best to suppress his breath, and walked towards a sparsely populated trail in the mountains. This trail was the passage that Yang Fan had just sent off his son. Old bastard, I have long known that your ambition is not small, but if you want to annex my Hammer Mercenary Group, you will not pay any price. Yang Fan saw that everyone was enveloped by Yu Gan's energy, and immediately said, All of you, did you die or did I do it yourself? Yu Gan looked at the Hammer Mercenary Group below and said with a high-spirited attitude. Captain, fight with him. Right. In our Hammer Mercenary Group, there has never been a person who is greedy for life and fear of death. From the crowd, intermittent voices sounded. Since that's the case, then you all die in my place. As soon as he finished speaking, a trace of resentment appeared on Yang Fan's face, and then he squeezed the palm of his hand and directly crushed some weak mercenaries. This Yang Fan actually wanted to use the power generated by squeezing the human body to escape. Head of the head. You. The people of the Hammer Mercenary Group saw that the head of the mercenary group actually wiped them out, so that they could use their strength to resist Yu Gan, and they would die without resting their eyes. This is your leader. On weekdays, he looks kind and amiable, but he is actually an ant that eats people and doesn't spit out bones. Die. Yu Gan seemed to enjoy this kind of counterattack before he died, and deliberately delayed it for a while so that he could appreciate it. Boom boom boom. The Silver Thunder is slowly intertwined in the entire energy enchantment, and in the Silver Thunder, there is a violent aura of a peerless beast, which makes people shudder. How can it be? Do Soul? But Yang Fan, who was planning to use the mercenaries of the entire Hammer Mercenary Group to blow himself up to create a chance to escape, shrank his pupils tightly, looking at the sky. The silver light, a touch of fear, emerged. Gulu! A thunder swept across the sky lightly, and then the Hammer Mercenary Group remained below, surrounded by the power of small thunder. And just being surrounded by this thunder, these mercenaries lost their vitality, and even their pupils became empty, as if their souls had just been obliterated. A bunch of trash. Let's be more thorough. After Yu Gan finished speaking, the violent thunder power all over his body suddenly whipped away at the countless mercenaries who had lost their vitality. ZZ. Violent thunder whipped those bodies repeatedly until a trace of burnt smell appeared on the bodies, and then stopped. At this moment, except for Yang Fei, the rest of the Hammer mercenary group fell into the hands of Yu Gan. The 3-star fighting immortal powerhouse, with one person to obliterate an entire mercenary group, this is a complete crushing. Hammer mercenary group, it's over. Looking at the land full of corpses, Yu Gan smiled with satisfaction, and then after finishing all this, the energy barrier slowly dissipated, hiding his breath. Return to the Ghost City. Continuing from the previous episode 1169. Yu Gan, this bastard. Our mercenary group helped their Yu family a lot at the beginning, but now they actually want to kill people. Yang Fei cautiously ran up the path, his mouth shattered. Very few people know about this trail, even in the mercenary group, and the role of this trail is clearly made by its leader in order to escape. Unfortunately, Yang Fan's own back path did not have time to use it. It fell into Yu Gan's hands. Father and the others, I'm afraid the odds are worse. I can't stay around Ghost King City anymore. I'm afraid I can only go to Dongzhou to hide first. The ratio of the whole Dongzhou is about to start. Yang Fei moved quickly and kept thinking in his heart. Before he escaped, his father had already handed over a lot of the group's wealth to him. With the addition of the seal fighting skills, Yang Fei was confident that he would gain a place in the East Continent, and then he would be able to leap into the Dragon Gate. Sorry, you probably don't have time to do these things. And at the next corner of the trail, Xiao Yan's voice was like a ghost, appearing in front of him without a sound. Damn. Seeing this, Yang Fei turned around and left. This guy in a black robe still remembers the scene where he just wiped out Hua Guard in the Red Pine Forest. Yang Fei knew that he couldn't beat him, so he could only turn around and leave. Where do you want to run? Xiao Yan's speed was extremely fast, and when Yang Fei moved, he instantly stopped Yang Fei's figure. My lord, my lord, my lord. I beg you not to kill me. This is a seal fighting skill. This is 10 million gold coins. I'll give it to you. I'll give you whatever you want. When Yang Fei saw Xiao Yan blocking his way, he couldn't help roaring. Yang Fei knew that after Yu Gan wiped out their entire Hammer mercenary group, he had no self-protection power at all. The appearance of Xiao Yan would undoubtedly cost him his life. Let's die. Xiao Yan glanced at this guy. The huge soul force naturally found that this guy was not willing, and his eyes were full of conspiracy and tricks. As soon as Xiao Yan finished speaking, a bluish-yellow flame suddenly emerged from his body and attacked Yang Fei. What kind of flame is this? Ah! 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 Before Yang Fei could move, he was immediately entangled by the raging fire, and immediately swallowed by it in the next moment. No asterisk was left. Shabu shabu. After a while, Yang Fei's figure was burned into nothingness by the blue-yellow flames. Yang Fei's strength is tyrannical, but the blue-yellow flame is the fusion of Fire Heart Tianyan and Ghost-Face Soul Flame, so it is naturally not something Yang Fei can resist. The Sealing Fighting Skill. Xiao Yan walked over and took the Sealing Fighting Skill into his pocket. As for the other things, they had already been burned to the ground. The news of the demise of the Hammer mercenary group will soon spread to the Ghost King City. It seems that we have to avoid the limelight first. All I need to do now is to wait for the guy who took the undead leaves to act, and reap the benefits. Not long after, Xiao Yan came to the Ghost King City, stayed in an inn, and calmly adjusted his breath. The Lei family mansion. Patriarch, it's not good. A follower with a panicked expression ran into the lobby and said to Lei Li. What are you panicking about? Lei Li was sitting in the hall at this time, holding a scroll and savoring it carefully. He was so surprised by this attendant that he couldn't help asking. Patriarch, the Hammer mercenary group has been destroyed. But the follower didn't care, his expression was still extremely frightened, and he said slowly. What? Hammer mercenary group was destroyed? When he heard the follower say this, Lei Li couldn't help putting down the scroll in his hand, and his eyes became vigilant. Although the overall strength of the Hammer mercenary group is not comparable to their three major families, but in the Ghost King City, it is also one of the best in strength. How could it be destroyed? Who did it? Lei Li asked. Do not know, but one thing is certain, the murderer who destroyed the Hammer mercenary group was suppressed by his strength and killed instantly. Preliminary estimates. It's either the second head of the Mad Demon group, or, the follower said with some fear. Who is it? Lei shouted loudly. The head of the Yu family is Yu Gan. The follower said cautiously. This mad demon group and the U family have been restless. I'm afraid this matter really has something to do with them. Pass my order, rectify all the strengths of our lay family, and gather. I don't know if I can survive this catastrophe. If you pass it, you will live, or you will die. Lei Li seemed to have guessed something, and couldn't help muttering. The Qing family mansion. Father, what happened to the Hammer Mercenary Corps? In the hall, King Ming Qingwen and several senior officials of Qing's family gathered here and said slowly. I believe everyone already knows the news of the accident with the Hammer Mercenary Corps. It's already full of storms in the city. As for who the murderer is, I'm afraid. Seimei was in the first place and said to a group of strong people below. Patriarch, I think the auction has just ended, and the Hammer Mercenary Group has been completely wiped out. I'm afraid there are some hidden secrets. One of the old men couldn't help but said, in the voice full of melancholy. Old Qing is very right. Now the Ghost King city is full of wind and rain, and the Hammer Mercenary Group has been destroyed. All these spearheads seem to point to the two forces. Another old man said, the Yu family and the Mad Demon Squad? Qing Ming nodded slightly when she heard the words. The Yu family has been behind closed doors since the auction, and cut off all contact with the outside world. I think they're probably planning something. Old Qing said, it seems that this will be a major disaster. Seimei said, gathering all the strength of our Qing family, I'm afraid the real battle is about to begin. After Seimei finished speaking, everyone went down to work on their own. City Lord's Mansion. City Lord, the matter has been investigated clearly. The person who killed the Hammer Mercenary Group was indeed Yugon. In a quiet wooden house, he said to Death Feng. This feather is really a wolf's ambition. But that's fine. It's time to get rid of this pest. Gather the strength of our City Lord's Mansion and prepare to attack the Yu family. Since they want to rebel, then I, the City Lord, must show them a little more. As for the demise of the Hammer Mercenary Group, it's just an excuse. It just so happens that the Hammer Mercenary Group has done too many strange things, so the end can be regarded as retribution. Dead Wind said, yes, Lord City Lord. He smiled. Of course that Yugon is a pseudo 3-star fighting immortal, but so what? The two of them, he and Dead Wind, were directly assigned by Yinhun Tiandongzhou, and their background is far from comparable to the power of Ghost King City. That's right, my lord. There is news from the Hawkeye team. It seems that they will arrive ahead of schedule. Finally, he said. That's very good. Dead Wind also laughed when he heard the words. If the Eagle Eye Squad arrives, not to mention the 3-star fighting immortal with Feather Dry, even if it is a 4-star fighting immortal, I am afraid it will not escape the end of the fall, and this Eagle Eye Squad is the original owner of the Earth Dragon Blood Crystal, and the Old Man of Death Wind. Man, end of this chapter.